Imagine a phone call that ends, not with a goodbye, but with a sound like a bomb detonating inside your skull. It is 10:45 p.m. on April 19, 2023. Alexa Bartell is laughing. She's just talking about her mundane day until a 7-inch hole punches through her windshield at a combined velocity of over 100 miles per hour.
There are no brakes,
No.
no screams at all.
Just the chilling whistle of wind rushing through broken glass and the smell of raw granite. Her friend Jenna is still on the line, just shouting into the void, calling out her name, Alexa! Alexa! She has no idea she is already listening to the aftermath of a thrill kill.
It is an incredibly dark reality to step into.
It is. Tonight we are digging into a case that turns an American highway into a private hunting ground. We are unmasking the Blood Brothers. Welcome to the deep dive.
This is one of those cases that really forces us to stare directly into a void of human behavior that is genuinely difficult to comprehend. I mean, we aren't talking about a cartel hit here. We aren't talking about a complex revenge plot or a crime of passion.
Right, it's something much colder.
Exactly. We are talking about the trophy collectors.
And that title, The Trophy Collectors, it implies a game. And looking at the stack of research for this dossier, that is exactly what this was. It wasn't a crime to them, it was a sport. The stakes just happened to be human lives. So let's unpack this nightmare. We are in Jefferson County, Colorado. Pitch black. Alexa Bartell is driving her yellow Chevy Spark.
And it's really important to visualize the setting to understand the psychology here. Indiana Street is a lonely stretch of road. When you are driving there at night, you exist in this bubble of light from your dashboard and your headlights. You feel safe.
It's that false sense of security we all have in our cars. You're just in your own little world.
Exactly. Alexa is on the phone with her friend Jenna.
And according to the transcripts, this was the most mundane conversation imaginable. They're just chatting about their day, and then silence. But not a dropped call silence.
No, Jenna described it later as a violent, abrupt silence followed by the sound of rushing wind.
She knew instantly. And to her credit, she didn't just hang up and assume bad reception. She actually tracks Alexa's phone, drives to the location, and finds the car crushed in a field.
And this is where the investigation hits its first, really crucial psychological hurdle. When the first responders and police arrive, they see a car off the road. They see a smashed windshield. And inside the cabin, sitting right there in the back seat, is a massive, crude landscaping rock.
Granite. And we aren't talking about a pebble here.
No, we are talking about a rock the size of a bowling ball. It was surrounded by what the first responders called diamonds of shattered glass. Now, the police initially looked at this and fell into what criminologists call the mailbox baseball bias.
Which is what exactly? Assuming it's just dumb kids smashing mailboxes but hitting a car instead.
Essentially, yes. It is a very dangerous cognitive bias. You see a rock, you think prank, you think property damage. I mean, the human mind doesn't want to believe that someone is actively hunting humans on a dark highway. It's just too terrifying to accept immediately. But the physics quickly dispelled that myth.
Yeah, I was looking at the math on this while prepping. It's terrifying. Because if I throw a rock at a stationary car, it breaks a window. But that's not what happened here.
Not even close. You have to factor in the closing speed. You have the suspect's vehicle traveling at roughly 80 miles per hour in one direction.
While Alexa is traveling at 60 miles per hour in the opposite direction.
Right. When that rock leaves the thrower's hand, it possesses the kinetic energy of a literal missile.
One of the survivors from that same night, because we know Alexa wasn't the only target, described the sound of the impact as a railgun going off in the passenger seat.
And that is a very specific, very accurate description. A railgun uses electromagnetic force to launch projectiles at hypersonic speeds. The devastation is total. It's not a thud. It is an explosion. That rock didn't just break the glass, it punched through it with enough force to kill instantly.
And you mentioned other victims. This wasn't an isolated, oops, we hit a car kind of moment.
No. As the night went on, the 911 dispatch logs began to paint a map of violence. There were 7 incidents in total that night. 7.
Yes. Nathan Tipton had his side window shattered. A driver named Lux suffered a severe neck injury. The police realized this wasn't property damage. This was an active spree, a hunt.
So they know they have a homicide. They know they have a spree. But it's pitch black. There are no witnesses on the road. How do they even begin to find the truck?
Loose lips. In modern criminology, that is almost always the break. A tipster referred to in the dossier as GB came forward. He worked with one of the suspects. And this leads us to what I think is the most unsettling prelude in this entire case, the Walmart footage.
Oh man, I saw this in the source material. It's from earlier that day. We have 3 young men, Joseph Koenig, Nicholas Karolczyk, who goes by Mitch, and Zachary Quack. They are at a local Walmart in the garden section, and honestly, they just look like 3 suburban teenagers.
That is the mask of normality right there. Joseph, Mitch, and Zach. To the casual observer, they look like good kids. Maybe they're doing some landscaping work for their parents. They are loading massive landscaping rocks into the bed of Mitch's dark Chevy Silverado. It looks so normal. They're laughing, they're lifting these stones. But looking back at it now, I mean, treat the rocks as a character in this story for a moment. Ask yourself, did the cashier at Walmart look into the boys' eyes? Did they see the reflection of a murder about to happen in those ordinary stones?
It is a haunting image, because those weren't gardening supplies. They were munitions. And the boys weren't preparing for yard work, they were preparing for war. And I use that word intentionally, because when the police started digging into their digital footprint and interviewing them, the language they used wasn't prankster language, it was military.
This is the part that really messed with me. They were using terms like contact left and contact right.
Exactly. Contact left means an enemy engagement on the left flank, contact right on the right.
But why? Why would 3 high school kids from the Colorado suburbs talk like they're on patrol in a war zone?
It is a psychological mechanism called distancing, combined with what we call the gamification of violence. If you are a soldier in a combat zone, you use dehumanizing language to cope with the reality of killing. These boys were driving through their own neighborhood, but they viewed the other drivers not as neighbors, not as mothers or daughters, but as NPCs.
NPCs, non-player characters, like in a video game.
Precisely. In a video game, an NPC has no soul, no family, no pain. They are just pixels designed to be destroyed for a score. By adopting this military gamer hybrid language, they allowed themselves to bypass human empathy completely.
So when they hit a car?
It wasn't a tragedy to them, it was a hit marker. Testimony revealed they actually felt excitement when they hit a car, and distinct disappointment when they missed. They were keeping score.
That is agonizing to think about. It's weaponized apathy. So thanks to the tip from JB and the Walmart footage, the police coordinate a massive raid. They hit all 3 homes simultaneously, and this is where the blood brotherhood starts to crack. But it is also a fascinating and honestly infuriating study in parenting.
It really is. You get a perfect control group of different parenting styles reacting to the ultimate crisis. At Mitch Karolczyk's house, he was the driver, the parents are stunned. They are cooperative. They hand over the keys to the Silverado immediately. They are in shock, but they respect the law.
Then you have Zachary Quack's house. His dad gives him the only smart advice a parent can give in that situation. He says, "Say nothing, lawyer."
Which Zach completely fails to follow, but we will get to that. But the most revealing reaction, and the one that explains so much about how this happened, comes from the home of Joseph Koenig.
Oh, this part made my blood boil, reading the report. The police are at the door for a first-degree murder investigation, and Joe's dad, Mark, tries to block them.
He didn't just try to block them. He actively obstructed justice. He treated a tactical police raid like a door-to-door salesman interrupting his dinner. He actually asked the officers if they could reschedule the arrest for tomorrow.
Reschedule, like it's a dentist appointment. Sorry, Joe's busy killing people tonight. Can you come back Tuesday?
It speaks volumes about the environment Joe grew up in. If you are raised to believe that rules are negotiable, that you are entitled to dictate terms to the law, it fosters a mindset where you believe you are above consequences. Mark was arrested for obstruction, rightly so, but that entitlement, that is the soil in which Joe's malice grew. He threw that rock because he didn't think the world could touch him.
So they get them into the interrogation rooms, and under those neon lights, the tough guy contact left act. It just evaporates.
Instantly. The prisoner's dilemma played out in real time. Mitch blames Zach, Zach blames Joe, and Zach, the one who was told to stay silent by his father, he tries to cook up an alibi. And this is where the criminal mastermind facade completely crumbles.
The Rick and Morty alibi? I could not believe this was real.
It is painfully real. He claimed he wasn't there. He said he was home watching Rick and Morty. The investigator, doing his due diligence, pressed him and said, "Okay, name the characters."
And he panicked.
He couldn't name Rick. He couldn't name Morty. He just blurted out, "The pickle!"
The pickle. That was his defense against a life sentence.
It's pathetic, but it exposes them perfectly. These weren't hardened criminals. They were cowardly children who wanted to play God, but crumbled. The second reality pushed back. They wanted the power of taking a life, but absolutely none of the weight of it.
But the police didn't even need their clumsy lies, because they had the phones. And this brings us to the twist, the title of this deep dive, The Trophy Collectors. Because they didn't just hit Alexa and keep driving, did they?
No. And this is the forensic twist that seals their fate. This is the detail that moves this from reckless behavior to pure evil. After they hit Alexa's car, after they saw it careen off the road and smash into that field, a normal person, even a criminal in a total panic, would flee. These three turned the truck around.
They went back to the scene.
They drove past Alexa's wreckage 3 times, and we know this from the truck's data recorder. Look at the speeds. First pass, 80 miles per hour. Second pass, 60 miles per hour. Third pass, 50 miles per hour.
They were slowing down. They were actively admiring their handiwork.
And on that third pass, as they rolled by the dying woman's car, Zachary Quack rolled down the window and took a picture.
I have to pause there. I want you to ask yourself,
Great.
what kind of human being captures a selfie with a dying woman's wreckage? This wasn't a memento of a night out. It was a timestamp on a soul that had already vanished into the dark.
It is the ultimate act of depravity. Zach told police he took it because Joe would want it. A gift. A trophy to relive the high later in their group chat. That photo was deleted, but forensic experts recovered it, and that image destroyed any defense of it just being a prank. You don't take a trophy of a mistake. You take a trophy of a kill.
It is just sickening. So the evidence is overwhelming. They have the confession, the rock, the truck, the photo. How did the justice system handle this? Because we have a driver, a thrower, and a photographer. And I want to get into the specific charges here, because first-degree murder usually implies you plan to kill a specific person.
Right, and that is a key legal distinction. Nicholas Mitch Karolczyk, the driver, realized the walls were closing in fast. He cut a plea deal and testified against the others. He got 45 years in prison. Zachary Quack, the photographer, pleaded guilty and received 32 years. But Joseph Koenig, the one who actually threw the fatal rock, he refused to plead. He took it to trial.
And the charge was first-degree murder with extreme indifference. Can we break that down? Because I can hear some listeners asking, isn't that just manslaughter? He didn't know it was Alexa Bartell. He didn't wake up hating her specifically.
That is a very common misconception. Manslaughter or reckless homicide is when you do something dangerous, like driving 100 miles per hour, and you hope you don't hurt anyone, but you might. Extreme indifference, which is sometimes called universal malice, is fundamentally different.
How so?
Think of it like this. If I walk into a crowded football stadium, close my eyes, and fire a machine gun into the stands, I don't know who I am going to kill. I don't have specific intent to kill John Smith in row 4, but I know with absolute certainty that someone will die. And I pull the trigger anyway.
So the granite rock was the machine gun. The highway was the stadium.
Exactly. The law says that if your value for human life is so low that you are willing to unleash lethal force at random, that is legally the same as premeditated murder. You don't care who dies, you just want to see death.
And to prove that Malice, the prosecution used his browser history, right?
They did. This wasn't spontaneous at all. Joe had researched similar rock-throwing cases online beforehand. He had run the numbers. He actually told his friends that the odds of getting caught were 50-50, and he decided that was acceptable. He flipped a coin with Alexa's life.
And the jury didn't buy the prank defense for a single second?
No. Joe Koenig was found guilty and sentenced to life without parole plus 60 years. He will never walk free again. The book is permanently closed on him.
You know, we look for reasons in these deep dives. We want to find a cause, gang initiation, money, hatred, drugs, something that explains the horror. But when you strip everything away, what was the motive here?
The motive is the most terrifying part of the entire dossier. It was a Wednesday, they were bored, they had a truck, they bought rocks. That's literally it.
Boredom.
Weaponized apathy born from boredom. It forces us to confront a very scary reality.
Yeah.
We all sign a social contract when we drive. I stay in my lane, you stay in yours. I trust that you won't kill me just for a laugh. These three tore that contract to shreds because they had nothing better to do.
It really makes you look at the headlights coming toward you on the road differently.
It absolutely should. We often comfort ourselves by thinking monsters look like monsters. We want them to look twisted and scary. But sometimes the darkness wears the face of the neighborhood kid. The teenager bagging your groceries, the student sitting in the back of your math class. Absolute apathy doesn't need a grand reason to destroy a life. It just needs an opportunity.
And that is the provocative thought we leave you with today. The next time you see headlights approaching on a dark road, you assume the person behind the wheel follows the same rules of humanity that you do. But darkness sometimes wears the face of the neighborhood kid. And you never really know who is behind the wheel or what they are holding in their hands in that split second as they pass by.
Or what is hiding in the dark corners of the human soul when no one is watching?
Don't be the next one to join the club in silence. Make sure you are following the deep dive. We have more maps to unlock, and the truth is yet to be revealed. But the darkness remains. Stay safe out there.
But the darkness remains. Your next dossier is ready, and it's even more disturbing than this one. Click here to open it.